Good evening. If you have a mobile, if you would like to put it on silent, please, thanks. Right, massive welcome back to Frank Willis with Forged by the Gods. A first time showing here for the subject of metallurgy and our relationship with it through the ages. Frank, a former soldier, worked with metals as a younger man and developed an interest in edged weapons. Why would he not? Frank also covers gold, a metal of many facets. Please welcome Frank Willis.
Good evening, and thanks for the warm welcome. Tonight I'm going to touch on the history of metallurgy and how it interacts with human beings and with society and where we are today. And I'm going to take away some of the mysticism about things as well. For example, like the samurai sword. It is a brilliant killing weapon, but it's very brittle. And sometimes you'll see on the TV where you'll get two samurai warriors fighting against each other and they're clashing the swords. That is the last thing you want to do with any kind of edged weapon. One, it'll blunt your weapon, it'll chip your weapon. So in reality, a sword fight is over as fast as you draw the sword. And if you ever see the samurai, they practice a hell of a lot in withdrawing the sword out and putting the sword back in. Now that movement will kill a person, and that's what it's designed for. The less you fight, the better. Right, tonight with this metallurgy, I'm going to try and avoid the conspiracy theories, but 2001, on September the 11th, I came home from work and I put the news on, and sorry, not the news, I just put the TV on, and I thought, this is a shit disaster movie. So I switched the channels and the same thing's on, and it was all about 9/11. And to this day, I cannot get my head around what I saw on TV. I've investigated it, I've looked at it. There's a lot of CGI, and that was what was put out the first day. The plane going into the second tower disappears behind a building, which is actually behind the Twin Towers. So how's that one work out? And it leaves a hole similar to that. I think that one was off the first tower. Now here's the interesting thing. If you throw a Coca-Cola can at a brick wall, it'll just crumple and not even dent the brick wall. And it goes back to the, being a kid. You know, when we used to play paper, rock, scissors, the paper would cover the rock, but the rock would blunt the scissors. So the rock's harder than the metal. Now, most scissors are steel, but they're telling me that they built the pyramids with copper tools, which, no, I'm not having that. And I'm going to show that photograph there as a prime example of it. You've got a plane flying at 500 miles an hour, and it goes into a building like this. Now, all them outside wall is made of steel, and it's made from 1/2-inch plate steel. What kind of steel, I can't find out, but the Twin Towers were built with 12 different types of steel. Now, if you can see in the dark parts, you can see a lot of these are bent, where they're saying this plane hit them and then bent them and went through. If you go on YouTube and watch, it's an F-16 airplane being flown into a concrete wall. It just disintegrates and doesn't even make a mark in the concrete. Yet they're telling me a plane made of an aluminium alloy, like duraluminum, titanium, is going to bend them steel like that. It just does not happen. It's like saying a bullet would go through one of these steel girders. A bullet would just splatter. And as you know, lead is a lot denser and stronger than aluminium. So that's my little take on 9/11 and why I think the whole thing was bullshit. The other thing is, jet fuel, it exploded when the plane hit, and it burns at 1,300 degrees, but it explodes and it's gone. Metal, steel, you're talking, it starts to melt around 2,500 degrees. So the jet fuel did nothing at all to that steel. Something else did. And the other thing about it is them four walls of the Twin Towers are made of steel, and they are the load-bearing walls. Inside, there's girders going up and down for the shower, for the lift, the access to all the floors, the amenities, everything. And the steel girders holding them. Now in between are floors, and they're made of steel and reinforced with concrete. So if you've got an airplane flying into the side of that building, it's going to go like a chip in between the grooves, and also the floor. It's going to slice it. So the plane will just be sliced. It won't damage a hull like that. It's impossible. It goes against everything I know about metallurgy, and it goes against everything I know about physics, and it goes against everything I know about firearms. If you want to go through steel plate, you use depleted uranium. There's special bullets of a lot heavier metals than lead. And as I said, lead's lighter than aluminium. So that's out the window for me. Anything else can do with 9/11. I could be here all weekend, but that's just the metal side of it. The other thing I found totally amazing that day was they found Mohammed Atta's paper passport amongst all the rubble, which is like, nah, it's like, just go away. You know, if I want a car or a motorbike made of a material, I'll have it made of Mohammed Atta's passport. It'll survive anything. Anyway, getting back to metals in history, it's hard to say through research I've done whether gold or copper was mined first, but it stands to reason in my mind that it was gold. Now, gold doesn't naturally occur like nuggets all the time, but I think somebody found a nice nugget and started hammering it with a stone and found out it was a malleable metal, and they started shaping things out of it. Now somewhere along the line they discovered that if you crush certain rocks you can get gold out of it, and that's what they do today. Also they did it with copper. If you crush a certain rock you can melt it down and get copper from it. Now I have a big dilemma with this, is we were told that we were hunter-gatherers and we came out of the Stone Age, and we came into what was known as the Bronze Age, which was roughly about 5,500 years ago. Now bronze is a very soft metal, but it's an alloy. It's an alloy of copper and tin, and the Egyptians we're told had vast armies and all the weapons were made of bronze. So therefore they must have been trading tin somewhere, and my research leads to the Cornwall copper mines, tin mines, sorry, and the copper and tin mines at North Orme in North Wales. Now, established history says no, the Egyptians did not trade with the ancient Britons, but archaeologists tended to find that this isn't so, which led me to another big dilemma with history and these people like he's a professor, Zawi Hawass. They've come out with stuff and then they're standing on their reputation. So when you present new evidence to them, they don't want to know. Now, straight away, I would like to ask Zawi Hawass how the sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid was made with copper tools, because it's the second hardest substance on earth next to diamonds. So if you're going to hit it with a copper chisel or a copper hammer, it's just going to bounce off, warp, bend, whatever. It's not going to even dent it. It's not going to even scratch it. So how were they made? Well, I've not actually been there and seen them, but my brother has, and he took a lot of photographs. When I was looking at the photographs, I could see machine marks, like in the sarcophagus. The easiest way to make that sarcophagus is to have you see your stone block and drill holes, and then knock the holes out, so you're left with a cavity. And you can actually see them drill holes. So they were using drills. But no, we don't want to talk about that. Zowie Iwas has his reputation. Some of the work Brian Forrester's doing is brilliant. So he's walking around these sites and going, look, there's a rock there, and you can see saw marks in it. And it's very plain that it is a saw mark. Then you see stuff like the massive sarcophagi in Egypt. They're like 100 tons in weight, and they're bigger than the entrances to the caves they're in. So there's a big dilemma. How did they get them in there, but how did they machine them so perfectly? You know, and I can't get my head around that. A bunch of guys were doing it with copper chisels. It's just that if they were doing it with steel chisels, which we have today, they'd be sharpening them every 5 minutes. You know, I know there's one or two people in here who are builders, and I've done it myself. You split a brick with a balsa chisel and an hammer. You do about 100 of them bricks, you've got to resharpen your chisel. And that's very high grade carbon steel, which is technologically thousands of years ahead of the Egyptians were. Now, another big dilemma I've got with Egypt is King Tut's dagger. The Bronze Age came in about 5,000 years ago, 5,500 years ago. The Age of Iron came in 2,500 years ago. Yet 3,000 years ago, King Tut has a dagger made of iron. And they've now proven that the iron came from a meteorite. And everybody's happy with that. Well, for somebody like me, it's like, well, no, I'm not happy with that. You've got in the middle of the Bronze Age, forgers making a weapon or a knife out of a meteorite. And everybody goes, well, what's the problem there? I says, well, you need a temperature to melt it, to make it malleable, for the forger to hit it with an hammer and shape it into a dagger. And them temperatures you're talking about, 2,500 degrees. Now, how did they do that when they're burning a fire made of wood? And the answer is they couldn't. They had to use something like coal, which would burn a bit higher. But then they'd have to get bellows and pump air into it to make that fire go hotter and hotter and hotter. And that's what was holding metallurgy back, was the heat. But they had that technology when King Tut was there. Now, I've looked at other things in history, and I will say that metals will corrode. So when you see like the pyramids or Stonehenge, they're made of this stone. The stone's there for thousands of years. It eventually erodes and it goes back to dust, but we're talking tens of thousands of years. Now, something like cast iron will rust in a couple of 100 years. In this country, it probably rust in 50 years. So it no longer exists. But I've noticed in a lot of ancient buildings like Stonehenge, the pyramids, Göbekli Tepe, they put blocks of stones together, and in the stones there's recesses cut out like dovetails or T-sections, and they put them together, and I believe they've poured metals into them to hold them together, to tie them together. I mean, in modern day buildings we use brick ties to hold them together. They're made of metal. So I believe that the ancient man was using metals, cast metals, to do this.